Ladies and gentlemen, we are here together in person, Brad.
After 40 episodes, we are in the same place together.
Wow. That's what it took. Guys, it's fun to be here. Spent the week chilling out in Lynchburg, Virginia, having a great time with Foundation guys. And so we get to hang out. And
truthfully, the first time we've really gotten to hang out all week. You guys have been very busy filming. Of course, things must go on when there's filming. So, me and the warehouse guys, retail store, shout out to you guys for keeping things running during the week so we can, you guys filmed a ton of videos, right?
Yeah, I think the count is currently at 7. No, if you count today's videos, that's 10. And then we're filming another one tomorrow. So 11 videos in 1 week.
That's a lot.
Yeah, crazy.
Today's was exceptionally fun. And, ironic, we're wearing our jerseys, like a little teaser here on what's coming next week for you all to view. But good timing. Today's episode is sponsored by Flippy. We're wearing these nice Flippy jerseys now. So they were comfortable today. Looked good on everybody.
Yeah, it looked super clean. I think one thing that, like, when you look at these Flippy jerseys, originally, I think you look and think it's like the sheen of a dry fit or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's still the comfortability of a, like, cottony normal t-shirt, which is real. It's different. I'll be the first to admit it's different when you first get used to it. But I'm like kind of converted because some of them I'm like, oh man, this is like a really comfortable around the house shirt while also being a great wear it on the court shirt.
Yeah, I like that it's breathable. I sweat a lot and this shirt breathes really well and I guess dries really well because of that. So yeah, shout out to Flippy. Thanks for sponsoring all the episodes this week and next month and the month after that. They're signed on for a long time with us. So
come on,
check out the link in the description. You can check out In the Bag merch. It is available when this episode drops. So exciting stuff. So check all that out too.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, we don't have a special guest today because the specialness of today is each other as the guests.
Reflection.
I guess more so I'm a guest in your studio because this is where you're normally at, but we're both kind of guests in this studio. Normally you're across the room.
Yeah, no, definitely great to have you here. I think, it's a great time. Episode 41, we can reflect and look at 40 episodes. We did ask you all in the comments. It looks like the consensus was, hey, let's talk about my bag from when I started to 41 episodes in. And then also, I think for both of us, what is our biggest takeaways from 40 episode?
Yeah.
And then, maybe just ask players some tips and tricks that we can go over after that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start with your bag. When I look at your bag, gosh, okay, so we're 40 weeks. That's 10 months, basically. So, yeah, I guess we really started like March-ish last year. Does that sound right? Like March, April?
Yeah, it wasn't too long after I started with Foundation. So maybe end of April.
April. Yeah, that sounds right because we're in February. So we looking at like where you come with your bag. So originally, one of the big things we talk about this, if you're a regular listener here on the podcast, we talked about it a lot, all Discraft bag. I can look literally right now and see like non-Discraft stuff that's in the bag. So already a difference there.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm immediately noticing, you're a like mid-ranges on the right or like slow speeds on the right, high speed on the left. I'm the opposite in that. I'm very curious when you guys listening, are you high speed? If you're looking at your bag, high speed on the right, low speed on the left? How do you do it? Like, do you read left to right like a book?
I don't know what made me start doing that. I know Brody even does like slow in the middle and then goes outward, does he not, with stability and speed?
If that is the case, that is lunacy. That is craziness.
Yeah, but I think I like knowing, I don't know.
Probably easier to get the higher speed discs off the edge. Maybe that's why Brody's doing it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm really kind of the same. I'm kind of staying in the middle of the bag and I'm just like kind of looking at, I don't know. It is backwards.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's not backwards. It's different. It's different.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm different. Like maybe people are going to let us know in the comments like, no, actually, Robbie, you're insane. And for more than one reason. So looking at this, you got 2 Roaches, Banger GT that you were using before we started recording. Banger GT no longer anywhere to be found?
No, and ironically enough, that's the only disc I've ever aced with too. So it's not in there. It got too flippy. Yeah. Well, it's flippy for me.
Okay.
Let's clarify that.
Too touchy to use. I see. I'm here for the world of let's stop using the vernacular of something's too flippy, right? Because everything's usable. It's just is it not reliably? You can't throw it reliably because it requires almost more touch than you need to be using while on the course.
That's really what it is. It used to be a very straight flyer for me, and then after I used it for quite some time, it did. Like if I let it go on a little too much anhyzer, it would kind of take the line that I gave it a little bit more. Didn't give me any forgiveness. Maybe that's the way to put it.
Yeah, that's fair. And like that's totally fair because I think people will step into other players' bags. Like in theory, I should be able to pick up a beginner's bag and use it to do something. It may be tougher for me to throw like a big shot because I may have to come off of things a little bit. Okay, so now we're still putting with roaches.
The same roaches.
I love it. Dude, feeling as someone who's putting with this blend this year, it's actually wonderful feeling one that's like beat in because now I know what my Lunas can get to, kind of a deal. So that's haven't changed the putters. What is that's the zone. We've got
3 throwing putters.
Okay, inner core. Is this the Envy that you talk about that's like beat in?
Yeah, that's the Envy.
Okay, so this has kind of replaced the Banger GT to a degree.
Yeah, because the Banger GT, then I wasn't throwing, as you can see, depending on where you stand on the zone approach disc, but I was really only throwing the Banger GT, and I would throw the roaches also, which is why they beat in really quickly at first, and I kind of stopped them. But yeah, the Banger GT, definitely the Eclipse Envy has replaced that. It's a different disc, but it kind of was my reliable throwing putter.
Okay. And I bet even like the inner core to a degree kind of that really understable slot for you, especially with like a little anhyzer release that I know you're working on it. But that probably is more often than not, this probably isn't coming back for you.
No. And the reason I had the inner core in for a while, I took it out because I got a little frustrated with it.
Yep.
And then I actually put it back in about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Just because I'm determined by like fall to get rid of the anhyzer release.
Okay.
So I'm starting with the slow speeds because I guess I feel like I can correct more with those speeds instead of like wearing myself out throwing a bunch of drivers full power.
Yeah.
This really tells me if I mess up.
Totally.
Which I love it.
Yeah.
So I've kept it in there for that like understable category, more of like a point and shoot. If I throw it a little anhyzer, that's where it's going to go. If I throw some hyzer on it, it might flip a little bit, but it's pretty much going to go where I throw it. But this is like really in my mind a training tool for me to really pay attention to how I'm releasing a disc.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. This Envy filling it, and then new Envy with the Galactics dies.
It's actually a proxy. It's a Eclipse proxy.
Okay, okay.
So that, just as it is right now, is very, very straight for me with a touch of finish at the end, a touch of fade, which is something I needed because the Envy, I can do that, but it's definitely going to have a more aggressive fade at the end still. But it goes straight for a while, but then fades pretty heavy. This one, the proxy does not.
Okay, so it's almost more like this. It would go inner core to proxy.
Yes.
To Envy. Okay.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, and then from there we jump to zone.
Yes.
Yeah. For those of you who are spectating, this is the zone that he has in his bag.
Yeah. You can see it has some marks on. I throw my 1,000 rated zone. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, that's okay. Collectors are like shivering in their chairs right now, but.
Why have a disc if you can't throw it? That's my mentality.
Amen. Now you've been a big zone guy for a while. Am I going to find? Nope. Are there any? It's just one.
Just one.
Okay.
Here's what happened. I lost the zone, my precious child.
Yeah.
And it scared me because I'm like, now I was like garbage for 2 weeks because even that zone's not too much different, but I didn't feel like I had any trust in it. And I'm like, I'm not going to lean so heavily on these zones. I'm going to learn I'm going to have my zone, but I'm going to learn to throw other things and other shots. So I had a razor claw in for a minute.
Okay.
I liked it. I was throwing it on backhand.
Yeah.
But I'm only carrying one. Like I think I said this a couple episodes ago. I'm in the phase where, I kind of had a bunch of different molds from one manufacturer. Then I went down to like 5 or 6 molds, but a lot of discs.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of in the phase of like I'm really exploring other molds and other manufacturers. So I'm I have way more molds than I would like to, but I'm really trying to find out what I really love. The zone I know that I love, but I'm kind of leaving some room in case I want to branch out a little bit.
No, That makes a ton of sense. And I kind of love going from multiple zones because while we are big on mold minimalization here, and you kind of touched on it with you wish the mirror may have been less in the bag, especially while you're trying to beat this in, only having one of them forces you to, okay, what's this feel like if I have to throw this on a backhand? But you can also, if that envy still has a little bit of bite to it, I'm sure just teaching yourself some angle release.
Yep. Yeah. And,
fantastic.
Yeah. And I also can forehand the envy. I like forehanding the envy actually. With the level of beating that it is right now, I can get a pretty straight forehand for it. It'll even turn a little for me before it comes back.
Okay.
So it kind of almost flies like that old zone.
Yeah.
So it
you
works out.
When you threw that forehand today in the final round of the skills challenge, look forward to that video next week. You threw that forehand today. I'm not going to say whether it made it or not, but you went over there, had to put the team on your back a little bit, some might say. What'd you forehand there?
Zone.
Okay. Yeah.
Both times.
Okay. Awesome. So moving to mid ranges. Oh, nope. We still got, nope. That is an R2 uplink. Okay. I love it. The Mind Bender. Boom. The Nebula. CT Buzz.
Yep.
Okay. And Bobcat. Is that it?
That's all the mids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. So when we're looking at mid-ranges before the original bag, you had a Meteor, a Buzz SS, and a Buzz. So 3 mids. And I think as part of that, I know for a long time you still fan grip mid-ranges. Was it just that like frustration that we talk about a lot with our players and our guests of like, why do I need a mid-range? I feel like a putter can get there, or I might as well just throw a fast disc.
Yeah, that's where I was. Like the Banger GT was going just as far as my Buzz, so that's why I was kind of leaning more on that. I really didn't have a forehand at the time, so I was trying the Meteor, trying to get that left to right movement. And then of course my zone was the only thing I forehanded, and it was my extremely overstable disc. And I was at first trying to throw the zone. That's when I found I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So Bobcat, let's see. Bobcat's going to be the really overstable option we have right now. Let's see if I can get these right. Bobcat's going to be super overstable. I'm going to go Nebula next. CT Buzz being our straight-ish. You can throw it like kind of flat to a little Annie, and it probably fights out a little bit.
Yeah, I like throwing a flex line with the CT UV Buzz.
Okay. I love it. Okay. And then Mindbender moving down there, and then the uplink being on our stable side.
Yep.
Okay. I love the 5-disc mid-range setup. Do you find that you're using these mid-ranges a lot more? Yeah,
I think where I get hung up is the MD1 and the uplink. Because I love the uplink. It's kind of in jail right now. And it's not the uplink's fault, it's my fault.
That's fair.
I've been cranking it over too much, and I can't. But the MD1 has like a little more stability, so it gets me very straight. Whereas the uplink, I'm leaning more on forehands now.
Okay.
So I don't that left to right movement. So I love the uplink. Those two are kind of my understable to very straight options.
Yeah.
But I really do throw all of them. The one I've not been throwing a lot lately is the Bobcat.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just don't. I usually throw it on forehand if I need like a little. If I there for a while when I need a little bit longer zone.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing my zone a lot farther than I had before.
Okay.
Without having to go up to a fairway.
Yeah.
So I'm really not finding a whole lot. I really just kind of keep that in there if there's a lot of wind. There's a couple holes at like Falling Creek where there's consistent wind there, and I'm like, I need to make sure this gets back left. Yeah. I will throw this on backhand. Yeah. So it's kind of my like scenario kind of disc.
Yeah.
But these 4 I throw a lot for sure.
Yeah. The Bobcat slot, it's something we've had. I think we've recommended it to a couple people at this point. I know we did a Justice for Silas.
Yeah.
We may have recommended a Bobcat to someone. I can't remember. But like it truly is, it's a utility slot. Once you get to that overstable, like a cap wrap or a anything that far on the scale, it's definitely something that if you were building a minimalist bag, that's like one of the first things you can cut.
Yeah.
But I agree. There's a total comfort there to that super overstable shot. And sometimes if you really like, there are some holes, if you're a Charleston golfer, the like flex Annie forehand, you have to be able to throw that on like 85% of their tee shots.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
that kind of shot is perfect for that. Like that disc is fantastic. So it can also be based on where you play.
Yeah.
You may need that that really, really overstable if you have wind, stuff like that. So I really think you've done a really good job here. And I'd love to hear that you're throwing mid ranges more because it's control. It sounds like between the MD1 and the uplink, it's just one is a little more forgiving right now to accomplish those shots.
Yeah, and I'll probably, honestly, the MD1 is not the disc. I said this to Jason the other day in the warehouse. The MD1, I want it to be something it's not, I think. Really, the disc that's going to fill that gap, I think, is a hex, is what I'm looking for there.
Okay.
But I don't know. I like the MD1, don't get me wrong. It's just not quite what I want it to be. That's the gap I'm kind of struggling with at the moment.
We got to be able to find hexes first, right?
That's true. Thanks, Simon, for that.
Definitely going to be tough because Hunter convinced me onto the hype train prior to Simon. And then I had one and I lost one. And so now I have a Lizatl, but I don't want to throw it, not because it's a Lizatl, but like I don't want to fall in love with this mold if I can only find one.
If you can't
kind of a
it.
deal. So hear this, viewing audience, listening audience. If you know a guy with hexes, you got 2 people who are interested.
I'll even take 2.
Yeah. reach out to us. Love to chat. Okay. Mid ranges, because we definitely want to make sure that we don't go crazy long, but also we got other stuff that we want to cover here. So tell me when my fingers like stopped on fairway drivers.
I kind of count the vultures as fairway. I throw them like fairways. If you want to bring those out.
Bang.
And there's that.
Also a vulture. Ooh, that's pretty. Is that the Thundy?
That's a Thunderbird.
Okay.
So it kind of goes like...
We got Terra.
That's speed. I'll adjust for stability later.
Okay. So we have mint discs.
Oh, here's a fairway too. Well, I think, is a lift 9-speed or 10-speed?
I think it's a lift's a 9-speed.
That counts.
Okay. All right. I have no idea what this is.
That is a jackalope.
That's a cool stamp on a jackalope.
Shuriken.
Okay. So a little shuriken for you guys checking it out. Bang, bang. Okay. We got that. We have the lift. I'm trying to remember numbers on the lift, but we'll get there. Okay, so I started understable.
Jackalope.
Jackalope. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go lift is that and walk down the line this way. Vulture, Grackle, Terra, Thundy. One of these is a beat-in vulture, I believe, right? I don't know which one is the beat-in one. That one? Okay, cool. Bang. Bang. Nope.
And for those of you who are listening, Robbie is arranging.
I'm stacking all of these up. Yeah. It's very visual right now. Okay. How did I do in this spread? And then we'll talk through them once I readjust. I've got lift as the most understable, vulture on the high end. Okay. Actually, I'm going to switch this.
All right.
There we go.
So I'm going to take one out immediately.
Okay.
This particular lift, I only forehand.
Really? Okay. So it's stable or it's understable and you stand it up.
I flip it up.
Okay.
So this is off to the side. We're not going to count that one.
Okay. I love that. I love that you have a forehand exclusive disc that's understable. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it has enough stability for me that I can actually throw this very far on forehand, which is something I definitely needed. Yeah, the Apex Grackle is definitely my most understable of these.
Okay.
The Jackalope. The Eternal Jackalope is a little more overstable, but it's still understable. This will actually completely turn for me, but it will fade
still
slightly.
A little hook up at the end.
It may not be. It may come back to the center. It won't be overstable.
Yeah.
Next, actually, is my Grackle.
Okay.
I think it's a 7-speed, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I can just like hit the speed a little more correctly, so it's not as overstable for me.
Okay.
Next would probably be my Terra.
Interesting. Okay.
It's very light.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's 173. It feels light.
Yeah.
Then my beat-in Vulture.
Okay.
Then my Thunderbird, and then this
Vulture.
Get Sneaky Vulture. Thanks, Jason, for that.
Super stable. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at this, you had 2 Raptors and a Vulture in your bag. That yellow Vulture there, is that this one?
Yes.
Okay. So it is one of the only, besides the Roaches, this is the only duplicate. between the two bags?
Yep.
Okay. That's fascinating. So,
I'm sorry. There's a Thrasher in my current bag too, but
okay.
It's an exclusive 4-hand disc as well.
Okay. So here's the question I have here, because I like that you have more options here. And then looking at this, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you still have 5. You had 6 distance drivers in the past. Mm-hmm. You had 3 of these. So you have more discs in your bag overall now than you did then. But you know how to throw more shots now. So that's helpful. Mm-hmm. This Vulture is only gone 3 clicks down in terms of, I'm sure back then it was crazy beefy.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah.
Similar to what this one is doing right now. Okay. So it's only gone down 2 clicks. Talk to me about, for the player out there that's like, you know what? I'm going to throw a destroyer. I'm going to put a destroyer in my bag. I'm going to beat this thing in, and it's going to be fantastic. This is 10 months in, and it still has only slid this far down the track.
And it's been in longer than that.
So what would you say to the person that's like, I really want to have this specific high-speed disc in my bag, and I think if I just beat it in over time, it's worth it. Like it'll get there.
Yeah. My first question would be why? Because why do you want that specific disc? If you have to beat it in beyond recognition, why do you want that disc? You want a different disc. You don't want that disc. That's my thought.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Because the Vulture, I know I still have it in my bag. I know this is not a Vulture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is actually kind of what you're seeing in my bag. Is there's definitely some overlap basically from the Terra up to this Vulture. Like
totally.
This is a spot I'm trying to figure out what I like.
Yeah.
The jackalopes are my like understable, and then I'm going up like slightly less understable. Grackle, I can actually keep it pretty straight.
Yeah, I would believe that.
It's like a fast envy, my fast envy.
Okay.
Like if I need an envy like shot, but I need it to go farther, I need a faster disc. That's what that is.
Okay.
The Terra I just put in pretty recently. My wife throws a Terra all the time, and she loves it. I've thrown it a few times. I like it. But I'm trying to decide, like, you know, is this what I really want a Vulture to be like? And if so, I'm going to try.
Just bag this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bag multiple plastics of this, and then probably sadly get rid of all of these.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that totally works, and it just something that I want to like make people understand is that the reason Calvin Heimberg can pick up a new Halo Destroyer and have it beat in and doing what it's doing so fast in the season. Like they just dropped the new ones. We're recording on Thursday. Yeah. They just dropped the new Halo Destroyers today. So for people who are going to watch like, oh, Calvin's throwing a new one or something, it's going to start super overstable for him. Yeah. But like, I really think by Austin, which is a month and a half away, maybe, those are going to start having some turn for him. Unless they're like a flippy run, I don't expect them to be. So this could be a caveat here. We don't know how they're going to fly.
Yeah, right.
They're destroyers.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Hashtag Innova things. But the reason he does that is because he is throwing the disc so much harder than we are. Like there's so much more spin coming into the disc. The plastic is hitting the ground harder. Even if he's not hitting trees, it's hitting the ground harder with more spin. It's hitting, if he hits a tree, it's hitting a tree harder. He's playing
so much more
every single day, kind of a deal. So when you want to beat in this distance driver, you want to beat in this for a 10 speed for lots of our listeners as beginners and newer players, or even intermediate players, a 10 speed still going to feel like a distance driver to you. And that's okay. But I would agree. Why do you want to have this? Do you want to have it because you want to say, oh, I watched Brody Smith throw a Vulture, so I want to throw a Vulture? Like, I mean, I've watched Brody Smith throw Vultures all week.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool to me, but I know that it's not going to do what he has it doing. So just, I like this spread, and I like that you're not overly attached to these.
Yeah, I'm just not attached to discs anymore, especially after losing the precious child. You know what I mean? Like they're just discs at the end of the day, and you know, I'm trying to really cap myself off at 10 speeds. I have some that are not 10 speeds in my bag right now because I'm thinking about some other shops. I can't throw them like they need to be thrown yet.
Yeah.
But like the Terra is a 9 speed or 8 speed. And I'm really trying, I'm like, if I can get a vulture like flight from an 8-speed as its intended speed or flight, then I want to do that versus like trying to have to chuck this vulture as hard as I possibly can and hope that I don't miss my line and hope that it doesn't fade out too quickly.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have more control with like an 8-speed. So I'm really trying to really cap myself off. And again, I realize this vulture is not a vulture.
Yeah.
I like the Thunderbird. This one flies kind of like this vulture. It's a little more, it has a little more turn actually.
Yeah.
Because it's very beat in, as you can see from the bottom.
Definitely.
Wes Bennett gave it to me. Thanks, Wes. So I don't know. I feel like my mids are pretty solid or getting pretty solid.
Yeah.
And you can see I'm kind of trying to work that thought process up through the speed in my bag.
Yeah. So we've been, we're 30-ish minutes in at this point. So here's what I want to do. I want to, for the sake of clarity and completion, let's look at your distance drivers real fast. But I want to kind of have this category transition us into what we've learned as players. And I'm trying to put them in remotely the same order because I know that
it's fine.
Some people get,
I don't care at all.
Okay, so we got Photon in the bag, a Cloud Breaker in the bag.
Let's just put this Photon over here. I'll talk about it in a second.
Okay, I love it. Cloud Breaker, Finish Line Era, another Era, and a Thrasher. Yeah. So Thrasher, we're going to put over with Photon as well because it's just a longer version of the
lift.
The lift.
Yeah, this Thrasher's beat in a little bit more. This is my, I need to throw a forehand, but there's wind, or I really needed to get back to the right. Like, I'm going to throw this versus the lift if I can't risk any sort of turnover or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's really the only reason that's in the bag at all.
Yeah.
This Fission Photon is 138 grams.
Oh,
and
that's tasty.
There's some ASMR for everybody.
Yeah.
It was just in the use section, and I've just been messing around with it. That's why it's in that back corner of my bag. I don't really throw it in a round, but I was out throwing yesterday just in preparation for the videos today. I didn't know what I was going to be doing.
Totally.
So I don't know, just kind of messing around because it does have some stability still to it, even though it's 138 grams. So I can actually I feel like I can get up to speed.
Okay.
Even though it's only 11 speed, I feel like I'm actually getting the intended flight of this disc. So again, just kind of a fun one I stuck in there and also if I'm throwing across water and I have no business to be doing it, I'm going to throw this on. I don't care about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so the Eras, I've heard you talk about the Eras before. Not necessarily overstable options, but let's see. Speed 5, Glide 5, Turn 0.
Yeah, that's a misprint. They printed Speed 5 on the Era.
I was like,
speed.
I'm feeling this rim. This is the fattest rim 5 speed I've ever held in my life. Okay, so with this being said, DD3 in there as just utility.
Beef,
Yeah, we're playing in that wind that we just experienced out at Timbrook, that one. Yep. I'm not going to get that one right. So at Timbrook, that's the one you're going to.
Yeah, I can throw a flex line with this in the wind, and it's still going to go left for me. That's the only reason that disc is in there.
I love it. So with that, these aren't getting thrown near as often as some of your fairway drivers are. They're in the bag. Would you say more as a comfort piece?
Yeah, especially this Era. I feel like I can throw it farther than any disc in my bag, but that's not true.
Yeah.
I have confidence with this disc. With this, it's an F2. It's a misprint Era. And I feel like I can throw it farther, but truth be told, this Jackalope, this Eternal Jackalope, I can throw farther than that disc.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we even saw that with Nolan today. He was really trying to crank some out, and let's be fair, guys. I've always said I don't throw far. You're going to see on video. I threw them so poorly today, and I wasn't throwing them far, and I was even trying to step up to some faster discs, and I think I should have taken what Nolan ended up doing halfway through his throws and stepping down to some slower discs because if I'm just trying to juice it like I did today, and I'm just throwing caution to the wind, throwing bad form to the wind, those slower speed discs are going to go just as far when your form is bad. And that was so demonstrated today. So with these discs being there, you can pass those over if you want. We'll throw them back in. One of the things that I wanted to see, as we've seen now 40-ish guests, obviously we've had some repeats and things like that for different reunion episodes. What would you say, like, do you feel like we see more people that have like comfort discs in their bag in a similar place? Like, why is it worth having the comfort disc in your bag? And do you ever feel like you put yourself in tricky scenarios because of having those comfort discs? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that, because I think, again, I'm not going to spoil like the video, but in the accuracy challenge that we did, I chose the Era for a specific shot, and I think that is my farthest flying disc. It is not, and I had to, in my mind or physically, try to crank it hard to get it up to speed to get that far.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'd have chose that jackalope, I could have smoothed it, and I know I could have gotten it that far.
Totally.
And I just, again, it's still, even though, we talk about stuff every week and we invite people on and you coach them, I still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you need a distance driver to go far, and you just don't. Yeah. It's just the truth.
Yeah. And so as we continue to have guests on, I think one of the two biggest things that I've learned so far in the podcast, and people who are watching and listening, you can comment and let us know if you're seeing this. I think one, the questions that I have asked, even that we have in the like submission form, I really think I'm going to revamp our submission form. And I don't say that as like I feel so sorry for everyone that like has submitted. Good news is that if you probably submitted your bag and it hasn't been seen yet, your bag probably has changed. Yeah. And so you probably need to resubmit anyways. So wait until we say on an episode that we've changed the form. But I think that when identifying, I want to know more and more from people, we always ask them what they think the biggest strength of their game is, because we want to lean into their strength. But I love to know, like, what is the biggest weakness of your game? And I'm honestly going to say outside of putting. Yeah. Because for most people, they're going to be like, yeah, putting's an issue. Well,
putting's hard.
I can't recommend, like, I can be like, oh, you putt with blowflies.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. You're good now. Like,
Yeah.
I can't fix putting for you. Maybe if your putting is an issue, we can look at what you're approaching with. But for most of you that have come on, you've said that approaching is the strength of your game, right? So I think I want to ask not only what is the strength of your game, but when we bring people on, what's the weakness of your game?
Yeah.
Because if you are throwing X amount of distance and you feel like you have to have these comfort discs in your bag, but you really feel like my greatest weakness is accuracy off the tee or something like that, it enables us to come in and help you change your bag. 40 episodes, I really don't believe there's a shot shape that we haven't covered yet.
No, we've pretty much gone through everything. And I think just to kind of bounce off of you, I think the last couple episodes we've even seen, like, it's really maybe the thought process that maybe needs like some fixing, or the mindset. And like, yes, we're recommending a disc, but what we're doing by recommending the disc is encouraging them to think about X spot or X, like, mid ranges just differently. Yeah. So,
yeah. And think about mid ranges differently. And I love something that you say a lot to our guests is I don't like having a disc in my bag that does one shot, one thing.
Right.
And so you get this disc that you put in your bag for one hole, because on hole 4 at Bob Jones Memorial or wherever you're playing, you have to throw this like turnover flex line and this Undertaker that your cat started gnawing on.
Right.
It's just perfect for it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine for that hole, but what if we could just learn to play the hole with another disc or something that we can also use on hole 5 and hole 6 and things like that. Yeah. So I think that as this podcast progresses forward, I still want to spend time walking through the bag because I think that is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
But in the heart of this, I think when I originally proposed this to you, my idea was like going into a PGA store.
Yeah.
And they're going to have you swing so many different ways.
Right.
And that's the measurements. That's the judgments. And the piece that I'm missing while we're interviewing people and before we even bring them on is like, how willing are you to get uncomfortable? Because if you're just like, oh, I mean, that sounds okay, but like, I don't really know, you may not be the best guest for us. And that's okay. Like, I think that's another thing everyone wants to get on the podcast, and we want to have you guys on, but we can't fit you with the right clubs. We can't fit you correctly and be helpful. I think we want to be helpful.
Yeah. yeah, we love doing this, and I think the great part is we're both learning as you all are learning, and hopefully you're taking stuff away. Like Robbie said, you should hopefully be listening to these episodes and be rethinking your own bag, and hopefully yours has changed. If you submitted on episode 25 and now we're 41, hopefully like that's helped you even if you're not been an actual guest on the show. So yeah, I agree. It's all about mindset, and I mean I had a fixed mindset. If that's a buzzword, I had a fixed mindset for a while about my bag, and then when I started trying new things, which is, I mean, not to jump into takeaways, but after 40 episodes, it's just like there are a lot of good discs, and you will never throw them if you're not willing to just like put them in your bag and try them and throw bad shots for a while, then realize how they're supposed to be thrown. Like there's a lot of plastic, a lot of manufacturers, and there's too many, unless they're paying you, too many to just throw only one mold, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think another cool takeaway is that a big reason that Brad can see all of this change is because literally every week Brad has to step out of his comfort zone, throw through usually horrific conditions.
Lately, what's up?
And obviously, I thought about this week when we were recording this and we didn't have any field work to do.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the weather is, this would have been one of your best days to throw.
It'd have been perfect.
Ever. But here we are, and we didn't throw. So
it'll be 12 inches of snow next week. It's okay.
And I definitely won't be here.
Yeah.
So I think that Brad's testing these discs out. I would encourage you guys every couple of weeks, get out to a field and just see what you can do with your discs. Like play around with them. Because I think that's something you end up having to do with these discs is I'll give you a prompt, but you've never come to the show and been like, all right, Robbie told me to test this and this. I did exactly that. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like you always do more with them. And I think that experimentation has allowed you to grow as a player. So if you're listening, when's the last time you experimented with your bag and tried something out?
Right. I mean, listen, I am a very mediocre disc golf player, and that is perfectly okay. I love playing. I love like the science and like the nerdy aspect of this podcast. And if I look at my bag, I mean, Uplink, tried that on a episode. Jackalope, tried that on an episode. Tried a Grackle on an episode. Tried a Vulture on an episode.
Halo
Thunderbird on an episode. Envy on an episode. Intercore on an episode. I mean, I've went out and thrown a lot, and I wouldn't have thrown them unless like I'd been like pushed out of my comfort zone to go try something different.
Yeah.
Try different plastic.
So I think, this sounds like it's very vague, but I think that's a good bow to put on the conversation today of what have we learned? We've learned that it's worth trying, and that while we've covered every shot, we still have a lot to learn. And in helping you guys become better players, we're going to be going back over shots that we've talked about in the past. And it allows us to be more informed in the conversation, because now instead of saying, oh, okay, Brad, we're going to try this Envy slot. Okay, we got the Envy, and now we're going to have 2 more molds that you can try in that slot. So we'll have even more informed conversation for you guys. And I just want to say, like, as a co-host, even as a podcast in general, I just love that we've continued to try to, learn to vibe off of each other through this. I think back, I went back on the way up here. I had an 8.5 hour drive.
Yeah, right.
I listened to episode 2 because episode 1 we were so nervous. And episode 2, you can just tell we were both like, oh, right, this is kind of robot. Like, yeah. So I just want to say thank you for doing this for 41 episodes.
Well, thank you. And I mean, I think I have the best part of this because I get like basically free coaching here as well. And like at least recommendations to go out and try. I mean, it is a coaching thing because you're telling me, hey, go out and do this thing that you really don't want to do, but it's going to make you better in the long run or make you think about things differently. So I appreciate you and all the time you've dedicated, because Robbie's the one looking through your applications. It's not me. So he's doing all the hard work. He's, I want to call it prescribing the discs for the bags and everything. So thank you for doing all that and making it possible and let me just go out and throw and find cool discs.
Yeah, and I think a good transition here being Brad gets the opportunity to try the discs out. We get the opportunity to send them to you. But we've had discs before that we were like, man, I don't like this. And trying plastic can be really tough. And as we go through this podcast, I know lots of you kind of feel that in the same way. Okay, well, I'd like to be a fan of, like, I like to do all this, but I can't just, go buying all this plastic if I never know if it's going to work or not. But we close our episodes out every week with asking what's new in the warehouse. And I like foundation care is something that I'm a firm believer that it was implemented like partially because of what we're doing here on the podcast. So that if you listen to this episode, you can be like, hey, I want to try this. And if you want to try this disc out, tell them about foundation care. Like, what does foundation care do?
Yeah, it's great because what it allows you to do, and let's just say you heard, I'm going to use an example. You heard today, hey, that Grackle or that Apex or Eternal Jackalope seems like something I really need.
Yeah.
And you've never thrown one before. And again, to Robbie's point, you don't want to spend like, $18, $20 on a disc and then not
like it
and just throw it in a bag somewhere or whatever, especially if you don't have a store you can go to and trade it in or whatever.
Yeah.
So what you can actually do is at checkout, it's going to prompt you and say, hey, do you want to add foundation care? It's $2.
$2.
$2. And what that does is you can try it for up to 30 days, like normal wear and tear. Go out and play with it, play rounds, make sure you like it or don't like it. If you don't like it, you just email in to our support. Jason's going to be there to help you. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to exchange that disc. We'll send you the return label. You go and look in a disc you want that's equivalent. Maybe you like, I don't really like the Jackalope, so I'm going to go back to a Heat or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jason will send you a Heat. He'll send you a return label to send back the Jackalope, and then you're all square and you're done. That's like a risk-free trial for 30 days, essentially, that you're able to do this.
Yeah.
So,
and you can get, yeah, exactly. And even you can be like, okay, I wanted to try the Heat. I was between the Grackle, or I was between the Jackalope and the Heat.
Yeah.
Now you get to try both for the price of one disc, which is crazy. But even if you're like, okay, I tried the Jackalope, I didn't love it, but I do know that, man, I throw an Envy and I throw it all the time. Boom, you can just get a backup. Like you can switch out for something that you know you love in that same way. I think it's such a cool program. I remember when I heard about foundation care, just absolutely blown away that we were doing that. And yeah, the foundation difference, man, it's crazy that we have this opportunity. So definitely make sure you go jump on that, take advantage of that. And I know that feels very sales pitchy, but like truly from my vantage point as a coach, man, I don't see anyone doing that. Right. And
yeah, to our knowledge, no one else is doing that. And I mean, it's a risk. I guess if we're talking business here, it's a risk on a business, but it means more to us that you know you can come to a place and try disc and love them and come back again and like trust us to have the plastic you like and give you a chance to try it out. Like that experience means more to us. Like we want to make sure that we're not just like a shop, you click a button and buy something, that you have value when you shop with foundation. So we're really trying to bring that to you all this year through different programs. And also what's cool too, Robbie, that, that disc that gets like that Jackalope we're using in the example gets sent back. We have a certified use section where now someone else can look at a very gently used Jackalope that they know it's not going to be chewed up by the cat in the use section.
Yeah.
That we're going to grade it like A, B, and C, like based on like how much wear and tear was on it. And you can buy that for even cheaper than the Jackalope. So there's all kinds of opportunity there. So just definitely make sure it'll pop up and show you at checkout every time you check out at the website. Yep. So you can add it in very easily.
Yeah. So, but we talked about the Jackalope a lot as they are listening to this episode. Maybe they already have the Jackalope, right? I know my gal Kim, chilling in Georgia, she's rocking the Jackalope. So what's new in the warehouse? What can they check out besides Jackalopes?
Okay, so Thought Space is new. We have some stuff in there.
Come on.
I haven't thrown it, but hopefully we'll throw it in some future episodes.
Yeah.
So check that out. We definitely have all the new foundation stamp stuff is coming out. So
come on.
We have foundation stamped Eclipse Envies, ironically enough.
Come on.
Glitches. Yes, I said it. Glitches.
Glitches in the house.
And Cosmic Neutron Photons. So, yeah. And then on the Bogey Bro stamp side, we have Destroyers, we've got Thunderbirds, we've got Rock 3s, and we have Toros. So,
come on.
Yeah. Great selection.
Gosh, if I wasn't so invested in the pig, I'm going to be real with you, Brad.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm afraid to try the Toro again because I threw one when it first came out. I love Calvin Heimberg. Yeah. I stand by. I got the chance to meet Paul recently, and I still think I would be more nervous to meet Calvin Heimberg.
Really?
Because I have a deep love for that man.
Yeah.
I respect what he does. Fan. I've built my game after his. Yeah. So I'm afraid to try the Toro again. because I think my unashamed love of Calvin Heimberg would make me love that disc. And I'm pretty sure that my pigs would just overtake me in my sleep. They'd be like, bruh.
Run over. Yeah, not good. Yeah, it's a good disc.
It's so good.
It's a good disc. It's dangerously good. I'll agree with you. Yeah. I don't throw it for a reason.
And that's a zone guy coming at you.
Yep.
So like so definitely check it out. The Bogey Bro. I've been watching Trevor absolutely destroy a destroyer this week with the Bogey Bro stamp on it. So I think I can honestly say, and he may correct me. I can't yell through the mic right now, but I think it's a flippier run of destroyers. Yeah. So. Yeah, like he agrees. If you're looking to be huge, this could be you.
We did see Trevor, and Trevor is huge.
Yeah.
So is it Trevor or is it the disc?
Let's go both. How's that sound? It can be both. So
I like that.
Dude, the one thing though is that because that thing's so good, he's definitely going to keep it in the bag.
Yes, he is. Well, thank you all for sticking around for 41 episodes now. We appreciate and love you all. Thank you for the feedback, the comments. We will continue to make this show better and better for you all. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, definitely also check out Flippy. You're going to see some in the bag merch there. It's pretty sweet.
It's real sweet, y'all.
So check it out. So we will see you all for episode 42. Thanks for hanging out with us for 40 episodes so far.
Absolutely. Remember, as always, if it's good,
keep in the bag. See you all.